Newsflash, I survived. What are you talking about? I survived the I survived the Spartan Race here, specifically the Spartan Sprint, the shortest one of the three that they offer. I survived that bad boy here in Phoenix in February of earlier this year. And as I was kind of using that as a thing that I put out in front of me as a goal to try to help me achieve some kind of the health things that I'm after in my own life, I realized and learned a bunch of things about myself on the way to running the Spartan Race. This video is not really going to be about the logistics and specifics about the Spartan Race, but rather the lessons that I took away from just my own self and my journey to put a goal out in front of me and overcoming it, and just so happened to be a Spartan Race here in Phoenix. So I want to talk about 12 of these things real quick that I learned. They're takeaways for me, and hopefully they're going to help you as you approach some things and challenges for your life going forward. If you don't know me, my name's Matt. I want to welcome you to the podcast, and I want to encourage you, click the like and the subscribe button. And just if you don't want to, just do it anyways, because you'll get notified every time we drop a podcast, and hopefully all the content that we're making and all the podcast interviews that we're doing are super beneficial for you. But let's dive into these 12 things real quick. Number one, doing something alone at the beginning is sometimes necessary. It's lonely if you have a goal or you see a vision and no one's going to go with you. I didn't have any family or friends that, really wanted to go do a Spartan race with me. They're like, why would you choose to do such a thing? So I had to go alone. So those workouts that were kind of by myself, I'm driving myself to run these hills on an incline to try to work up my stamina, the doing that day after day and week after week for an extended period of times can sometimes be lonely. And I'm all for team. I want you to build a team. Whatever you're going forward to accomplish in life is eventually going to require the input and expertise of other people. But at the beginning, when it's just you, when you got to look at the obstacle, when you got to look at the challenge that you have accepted and you have committed to, and the thing that you're going to overcome, at the beginning, you may have to start moving alone, and that's lonely. But in some instances, that's very necessary. Number two, while I was getting ready and I was using the Spartan race to kind of increase my fitness, I realized that fitness wasn't the goal. The goal of, just being physically fit or looking better in the shirt or the clothes, or to yourself when you look in the mirror in the morning. Those are benefits, but those are secondary to the real goal. The real goal is improved health and being able to navigate your body in a way whenever that you call upon it to do something, you're able to do it to the best of your ability. I know a lot of people were like me when we would go out to do things like with our family, with my nephew who likes to play soccer, or anything that would require some kind of physical commitment. It was difficult because I was out of breath a lot. I had some people who were a little younger than me. It's hard to be that much younger than me, but they wanted to go hiking. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'll take you. So we went to a hill over here by my house, and they were leaving me in the dust, man, because I was just out of it. I was breathing hard. I was, oh my gosh, man, what am I doing? And I was calling upon my body to do something that it wasn't yet prepared to do. It reminds me of my nephew who played a soccer game this past Saturday, and his team lost, and he's only 8 or 9 years old, so it's not like the end of the world or anything. They're just learning. But after the game, I saw him kind of hang his head and walk off, and I said, what's the matter, bud? Talk to me about what's going on in your head. What are you thinking about right now? And he goes, Uncle, I wanted to run more than I could, but my body just didn't respond. So I talked to him about, okay, we have to do some work next time, as we're going through the season, extra running, extra things that would build up your endurance. That's the goal. Just what he encapsulated in that one little statement after an elementary school soccer game was, When I call upon my body to go do something, can it do it? Navigating yourself, being able to control your body in the situations that you want to put it in is really the goal on as well as your overall improved health. Number 3, I use the Spartan race as a method and the prep up to running the Spartan race as a way to lose weight. And as I got into it, I realized, man, the benefit of losing the weight is not, like all the advertisements that you see. Have the latest summer beach body, or, are you ready for beach season or for the summer or whatever? When you lose weight, what you're actually doing is removing an unnecessary obstacle so that you can properly deal with an obstacle that you want to overcome. What we're doing when we're carrying extra weight, and applies to a lot of different things in life, but specifically physically in this instance, when you carry a bunch of extra weight, you are making things harder on you than what they need to be. You are increasing the level of difficulty to do sometimes simple things, but definitely do the things that you want to. If you want to be a better father, if you want to start the business, if you want to start a side hustle because you're working your 9 to 5 and you want to get out of that and want to go start something else, there's going to be physical demand, a demand that you place on your body. You're calling upon your body to work in a way that you need it to do something at a certain time. And if we're carrying a bunch of extra weight, what we're doing is we're making that harder on ourselves. The weight is an unnecessary obstacle. If you have a condition or something like that, a medical condition, there's some medication that you're on that requires that you need to have all the time, for your life to function, and it causes you to be overweight, and it's not really an effect of what you're eating. I totally understand that. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is people who are or just like me, undisciplined with the things we're putting in our mouth, and realizing that, my tongue is writing a check that my future is cashing. Because we may, the funny way to put that is, my tongue's writing a check that my butt is cashing, right? Because it tastes good going in, but I'm expanding in my size down here, right? But really, what's at stake here is not just you gaining weight; it's you increasing the level of difficulty. It's putting more obstacles in your way to accomplishing the task that's in front of you. So if you're someone who is on a health journey, hey, I mad respect to you. I want to encourage you today to continue on it, because you are removing unnecessary obstacles so that you can go and accomplish the thing that is in front of you. Number 4, you absolutely do not understand how many people will be impacted by your success. Every time you say, I'm going to do something, and you accomplish it, it creates a ripple effect, and you don't understand, and you don't have the ability to see how far those ripples will travel. You overcoming the obstacle might encourage or inspire somebody close to you that you didn't know needed the inspiration. It might inspire someone that you haven't talked to in years, but saw your story somewhere online, and that will impact them and inspire them to go do the thing. It's just the little nudge that they needed. In my case, I didn't realize how much the young people in my life, my son, my niece, and my nephew, how much they would look at me and go, man, my dad or my uncle set forward to do something. He said he was going to do it. He accomplished it. I went and celebrated with him. And then you look internally and go, man, what can I do? Because I watched somebody succeed. You succeeding at the thing that you're putting your hand to has a greater impact than just you going, I did it, and posting your medal on social media. It's not wrong, but there's a greater impact to the people that are around you. You just don't understand what that is going to do to the people that are in your circle just yet, but it will have a great impact on them. Number 5, just don't stop. In some of the more challenging times and areas and obstacles of the Spartan race, there were moments where I thought, you know what, I'm just going to have a seat here on this rock, or, there's a water station. I could just kind of chill out right here. I could take a couple of beats, a couple seconds here, or maybe a minute, kind of catch my breath. And for me, I knew that if I did that, it was going to be very difficult to start again. That if I could negotiate myself into, just stopping for a little while, that it was going to be easier for me to negotiate myself to quit later on. My entire mindset, whether it was, hurdling something or climbing over the wall or carrying this big old box of, or this bucket full of rocks, carrying those sandbags, up the terrain and down the hills and things like that. All my thought was just don't stop. I can go slow, I can go fast, I can adjust the pace as necessary, but I have to maintain a pace, just don't stop. I'm realizing the value of that principle even in my life away from the Spartan race, because it's not really about the Spartan race, it's about the principles that are being driven up in me while I'm preparing to overcome something, a challenge that's in front of me. So I think there's some real wisdom in that. If you have set out to do the business, if you've set out to launch the thing, to develop the product, to change the job, or to do whatever the thing is that you want to do, just don't stop. It doesn't matter if you made one step today, if you sent one email, if you did one design element today, make sure that you don't have a day where you completely stopped, because it's going to be hard to get going again, number one. But number two, it's going to be easier to negotiate yourself stopping in the future. So just keep moving. Number six, out of the 1,500 people that ran the Spartan Sprint on my day, the Saturday that I ran, out of those people, there were only 90, or approximately 90, who were in my age range, 45 to 49. Um, Almost all of them were younger than me. I kind of chuckled as you could see the guys who were, in their early 20s, who only wore shorts, shoes, and their Spartan beanie, right? Like they didn't have a backpack, they didn't have the long socks on, they didn't have all the gear and the equipment. They ran shirtless through that thing and killed it. And I kind of chuckled a little bit thinking about, man, I was there one time, right? Like where I just like, yeah, they want to run a Spartan race this week, and they kind of just show up and run through it without a whole lot of prep. The people that were in my age group were only 6% of the total people who were racing. Only 6%. 94% of them were other ages, and the majority of that 94% was young, if not much younger than me. Sometimes running with a younger crowd can be a really bad idea, but wisely running with a younger crowd, doing it on purpose, letting them set a little bit faster pace than you might be comfortable with, that pushes you past what you think your limits are, that can be very valuable. Who you surround yourself with, even in their mindset, doesn't have to be physically younger than you. It can be, but someone who has a fresh perspective for you can cause you to run at a pace you didn't really realize that you were capable of doing on your own. You may have had to start the thing on your own, but when you surround yourself with the right people, they're going to push you to run at a pace and to do things quicker and more effectively than you really think that you're able to. It's not about just running with the younger folks. It's about wisely choosing the right people to run with, and that can be a massive plus. Number seven, there is almost a guaranteed 100% chance that you think you're better than you are. And you will continue to think that you're better than you are until you go and test yourself. There were moments when I walked up and looked at the crowd of people who were running, and I saw some people how they looked out of shape and that didn't seem real coordinated. And I would look around, and there's part of me would be like, well, at least I can beat him. I'm like, dude, if that guy can do it, I definitely, I've been training, I've been working out for a long time. I'm golden, right? And you can start to think in your mind that you're better than you really are until you test it. And when you go and test the limits of what you think that you're capable of, well, I'll go and do this, or I'll run it in under this time frame, or I'll build that business quicker than anybody's ever done it. When you get to that point, and there's a little bit of that arrogance and pride that kind of shows up in you, what you're going to find is it's easy to mouth those words. It's easy to say all that stuff. But if you really want to see where you're at, test yourself because the test is more revealing, humbling, and encouraging all at the same time. It can reveal where you really are. It can help you confront, man, I thought I would do better. I'd be able to run a little bit harder. I thought I'd be able to accomplish this particular obstacle in a different way. Or, man, I thought this one was going to be easy and it was the hardest one for me. All of those things can reset you a little bit. It can allow you to increase your level of self awareness, but it's also at the same time encouraging because you're like, man, I'm doing this. I may not be running at a pace I thought I was. I thought some of these obstacles would be harder. I thought some of them would be easier. But man, I'm discovering what my current limits are so that I can go operate inside of them. And then it's encouraging because I'm like, man, I'm really doing this. I'm keeping my word. And there is at the very end of the Spartan race, you jump over fire. And it sounds a lot more dramatic than it is. It's, probably a 2 foot wide, area where they have some coals burning and a little bit of flame there. And it's just smoking up by the time I got there, it was at least. And then you jump over that before you get into the finish line. Uh, when you jump the fire, you realize, man, I accomplished this. And that's great. And you think going into it, or at least I did, man, they give these medals out. It's kind of stupid. You know what I mean? Who needs a medal at 48 years old? But I did not leave there without that thing. I stood in the line to get that. Why? Because I was encouraged and proud of the thing that I had accomplished. Number 8, it's really noble to have I just want to finish as your attitude. It's fine. I just want to get out there and finish. I just want to get out there and do the thing I said I'm going to do. And I don't care how fast I run it. I just want to get done with it. And that was my approach. And there's nothing wrong with that. But once I saw my time and once that I rethought about the race and the conditions and how I approached the whole thing, once I looked back on it, there was a new spark inside of me that said, I can do that faster. If you need to do kind of a test run almost is like what this first race was for me. It was like, I need to get familiar with how this goes. If you need to do that, fine. But just realize once you get done with that, you can look back and go, I think I can cut off a full 10 to 15 minutes of this race if I would have just done these few things different. If I wouldn't have carried the backpack that I thought I needed, if I wouldn't have, tried to be clever on some of these obstacles and just approached them head on instead of trying to, finesse it in a way that wasn't necessary. I think what you're going to find is when you look back on the thing that you just did, when you go to do it again, when there's another test, you will find ways to be more efficient as you go forward. So keep testing yourself because you'll be able to find new and improved ways to execute going forward. Number 9, driving toward a goal with a team is a better way to go. I know at the beginning I said you might have to start alone, and that's very true. But make sure that when you're in motion that you're not ignoring the potential people that might be able to assist you as you go. When I got there, I was kind of running alone, right? I didn't have a group of people, but then I saw these other people who were running in groups. They would run as friends, just because they wanted to be with someone. I saw another group of people who had a whole matching set of shirts on that went and did the race together in honor of someone who couldn't. I saw somebody else have these armbands on where they were honoring their family member who had cancer. And there's all these different things they were running for, but they ran together. And one of the things that they really encourage you to do when you're running the Spartan race, that even if you were there alone and not running with a group, to realize, hey, is there a moment where you can help somebody else? So if you were struggling to get over an obstacle, you could reach over and take that person by the hand and help them over. One of the ways that they exemplify this, which I thought was cool, was they only give you one shot to do all of the obstacles. And so I snuck in a second shot and I slipped off about 80% of the way through on one of them. And he's like, man, you got to come over here and you have to do the penalty, which is 30 burpees. So I was like, oh shoot, man, I'm already tired, so I'm doing burpees. And I get to about number 9, number 10, and then another person slips off and he comes over to where I am. And so what he does, the guy who's the official looks at me and the other guy and starts counting our burpees together. So I was at number 9, and then I got to number 10, and then he did one. He counted it for me, 11, and then he counted mine for him because they constantly are promoting this teamwork. This is a way to kind of run the race. And next time I'm going to try to find some people to go with me because it's just be more of a fun type of event that way. But the principle that I want to leave you with, that I took away with, is that there are some people who are going to be able to pull you over some obstacles a lot easier than you crawling over them yourself. Do not try to be the Lone Ranger and go alone. Find your crew and run together. There's an old African proverb that says, we run further when we run together, and that is 100% true. Number 10, scratches and bruises can produce temporary pain, but what they really are is evidence that you did something. If you go through your life unscathed, it doesn't mean that you were smart. It means that you did nothing. When I walked out of the Spartan race, I was covered in mud, just head to toe. And when I got to the end, I had sweated some of it off, but I went and was going to stand in a line because they had these 3 showers. There was probably 80 to 100 people in that line waiting for those 3 showers. And I thought, there ain't no way in the world I'm waiting for 100 people to go before I rinse off. I literally kind of poured some water on my hands. I got in my truck, and my wife and my son drove me home. When I got home, I hosed off outside, and then I got in the shower, and I'm cleaning myself off, and then I went, man, why are my elbows and knees stinging? And I looked down, and my elbows were all cut up, and the skin was rubbed off from my knees in certain spots, and there was still all these scratches and stuff that would take about a week to heal up completely. And whenever I would kneel down to get my shoes out of the closet in the morning, for the next couple days, I would feel it like, oh man, the skin on my knees, I rubbed it off on the Spartan race. But what that is a reminder that you actually did something. I was crawling through the mud underneath the barbed wire that scratched my back, right? And I'm crawling there on my knees and my elbows and right on my chest. And doing that at the moment, I'm just doing what's required to get through, but it's causing me to have some scars, some bruises, some cuts. And it's almost like our culture has become so risk averse. Like they don't want to be in pain at all, ever. They don't endure anything to get the prize or to push through anything to realize the accomplishment, that they champion the fact that they weren't hurt. Everybody is hurt in some way, shape, or form, but the more you try to insulate yourself so that you have less injury, just means you're probably not going to do a lot. This is one I'm still working into my kind of my approach to life anyway, but it's a big one, a big lesson. It'll really be helpful for me as someone who's a perfectionist and an overthinker. But this principle can really drive you forward if you'll grasp it. I'm going to get hurt. There is going to be an injury. I'm going to fall. I'm going to experience a little bit of pain. But avoiding those things probably means I did nothing. That doesn't mean that I was ultimately smarter than everybody else. Don't look at those moments of pain as something to be rejected. Embrace them as part of the growing process. Number 11, track your progress. It's always good for you or the people around you to be able to see how you've progressed and how you've improved. It could be something, as simple as walking. I walk a mile, and it used to take me 20 minutes and now it takes me 17. Every bit of improvement that you track is just another way that you keep yourself encouraged as you're moving forward. Especially if you're just starting something, you need to be able to track your progress at the beginning because you may not see just how far you've come in a 6, 8, 9, 12 month span. But if you're tracking that progress, you'll look back and go, man, it used to take me a lot longer to do this. I used to wear this size of, shorts or pants or a shirt or whatever, and now it's down. Track that progress and let it be an encouragement to you and the people around you that your hard work is really working. Number 12, don't underestimate the value of having people cheer you on. There is, especially for guys, right? For people who attack things alone and think, I don't need anybody else. I don't need anybody to say how good it is. I don't need any pats on the back. I don't need any cheering or anything like that. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You just don't know how bad you need it. I was fully planning on taking myself to the Spartan race alone, running it, and then coming back home and then telling everybody what it was like. Downloading the pictures that I bought, showing people that, hey, I really did it. But my wife was like, what are you talking about? You're not going by yourself. My son was like, no, I'm going. And so they went and hung out there while I was running the race. And at the end of it, I wasn't expecting them to be there. I was kind of stunned because I thought they had other things to do, or, could be a number of reasons just to think you're going by yourself. But as I jumped the fire and crossed the finish line, I could hear my wife and see my son over there looking for me and cheering me on as I crossed the finish line. And I went to them covered in mud and sweat and everything and just gave them a big old hug. And they were so proud that I had accomplished what I said I was going to do. But there's just something about having somebody cheer you on. There's just something about someone who's important in your life looking at you going, dude, you got it. Come on, let's go. There's something that boosts you in that innate desire every person has to respond in a way to encouragement that is just positive. And I know that might be kind of an obvious thing, but it really wasn't for me. It really wasn't. I didn't know how much that would impact me as someone who's crossing the finish line after doing something hard. To have people be, even if it's only two people, my wife and my son there, it meant the world to have them there. And it was better because yes, it was made me feel better when I was being, celebrated and cheered on and congratulated, but ending the thing together was a massive win for us. And my wife walked away and said something important. She goes, "Man, I don't think you understand what this did for us. This is really going to set the tone for our entire year." And I didn't, and it really has. I want to challenge every single person that would watch this that if you're physically able, to do something that would test yourself and challenge yourself physically. I think there is a great benefit in it, especially in a me centered, comfort driven, pleasure focused culture to kind of go against that grain and challenge yourself. It doesn't have to be the Spartan race where you're crawling through mud or dunking in a under a wall in ice water or trying to swing across things or crawl in the dirt under a bridge or scale a 50 or 60-foot A-frame cargo net or something like that. It doesn't have to be extreme like that. But if you're someone who's like looking for a really big challenge, a Spartan race might be a good idea for you. It could be something as simple as walking a 5K. Hey, take a couple of months, get in shape, and then get a bunch of your friends to find a local race in your area and do 3.5 miles together. And just do it together to accomplish it, and then let it be the beginning of something that would not only build new habits, but habits that are sustained to improve your life going forward. Last but not least, I want to wrap up the video talking to all my fellow Christ followers, Christians, believers in the Lord out there. I want to encourage you with 1 Corinthians 9:24 through 27. Don't you realize that in a race, everyone runs, but only one person gets the prize? So run to win. All athletes are disciplined in their training. They do it to win a prize that will fade away, but we do it for an eternal prize. So I run with purpose in every step. I'm not just shadow boxing. I discipline my body like an athlete. training it to do what it should. Otherwise, I fear that after preaching to others, I myself might be disqualified. I want to leave you with that passage and a challenge to just reconsider how you steward your body. You are the steward of everything that you've been given, your finances, your family, your relationships, your influence. It's not really yours, it's a gift from God that you have been entrusted with to steward. That includes your physical well being. Steward yourself in a way that reflects what Paul says in his letter to the Corinthians here about I'm not just shadowboxing, I'm disciplining my body like an athlete, training it to do what it should. Otherwise, I fear that after preaching to others, I myself might be disqualified. There is an aspect and a discipline that comes greater for believers because the last fruit of the Spirit mentioned is self control. That self control will be required to get your physical body into shape, will be of a great benefit. Now, it's not as great a benefit as the living out Christ standard for you, but and he uses the analogy here to use that same type of discipline to steward everything in the way that would be God honoring. And when you do, I think you'll be surprised by the impact, the positive, eternal kingdom impact it'll have on people around you. Hope you guys got something out of this. If you thought of something or had a comment about it, drop it below the video, and I'd love to have that discussion with you. I'll be hanging out there with you as well. And as always, thanks for coming through, and see you next time. Everybody likes free stuff. Well, I got 2 free resources for you that are available right now. They're both ebooks, and the first one is called Breaking Mediocre. In it, I deal with 6 things that keep men's lives mediocre and what we can do about them. This is a great tool for some personal development, or even if you're leading a group of men who want to keep each other accountable for personal growth. There's a lot of great tools and resources in this ebook that will assist you through that process. The second book is called One Decision. I am over 45 and recently completed the 75 Hard Challenge. And I've had some people ask me about my regimen that included my diet, my schedule, my exercise routine that I kept during that 75 days. And so I put it together as a free resource for you as well. It's complete with a schedule. It's complete with the food plan that I chose, some tips on how to motivate yourself in the middle of those 75 days. And it even has links in there for things that you can buy of products that I used as well. Both of these resources are free and available for you right now. Just go to the link in the description of this video and download them. You just put in your email and they'll send you a copy of the ebook.